Right, lads, we're back again for another video. Today we're back for the 315 matchmaking. For all the winners, for everything the same. I said we're going to do this for every big card. 315 has left some stories answered, some unturned, and there's definitely a lot to be called. So, what we're going to do currently now is we're going to win, and we're going to look, and we're going to start with the first winner, which is Alkaman. Now, Alkaman came in here and knocked Brad Katona's chin for the other side of his face. So, again, I don't think there's much point of giving him anyone lower than someone in the top 15 or someone just out of it. So my three options here will be Vinicius Oliveira, Jonathan Martinez, and Montel Jackson. Now, if you're looking at this from a solid standpoint, I think the most possible and most realistic option is Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson's on a massive win streak. So is Alkaman. Alkaman's come in. The division's a bit low on stars. He's already fought the champ. He went to a very, very close decision on short notice. I think giving him Montel Jackson or Vinicius Oliveira or Jonathan Martinez is the right option. If I was being pushed towards one, I'm going to say Montel Jackson. But right, we'll move on to Daniel Santos. Now, Daniel Santos to me is a weird one because I'm not sure if he's staying up in featherweight because he looked really, really good. But what I'd like to see is the Davy Grant rematch. That's probably the only fight I'm going to throw here. I think the Davy Grant rematch, I always love watching Davy Grant. He's a gritty veteran who puts on banger fights when he's in the octagon. So I really hope we see that again. I've also put down Moulin Golfer, the fucking Turkey Eagle. I do also believe he's not bad in a heart meal, but I do believe Davy Grant's going to be the one. But if he moves up, it's going to have to be a different fight because Davy Grant obviously is not going to go fight a fucking featherweight. Now we go into Marc-Andre Burnett, who I do believe is just going to have the Chris Curtis rematch. I've wrote down a few different options here, like MVP and the Munoz. Eric Anders is another one. I think the most obvious one is to give him the Chris Curtis rematch, but MVP would be really fun to see his striking go against someone with all-roundedness to it Marc-Andre Burnett does. So I think that'll be an interesting one, but I can't really see it. Now we go into someone that I think has kind of the makings of a star, Najah Sterling. Now, to be honest, to me, Sterling needs a big fight. You can't keep giving him shit. Now, I originally had Uber Asden wrote down here, but he's already booked the fight, so it can't be him. But I do think you give him some talent. I think you give him someone that's kind of making a big amount of moves inside the division that he's going to be in. I would give him either Kuti Laba or Marcin Petrachnio. I give him two fighters that have risen up the ranks correctly instead of just trying to throw, random fights at people here and just hope they stick. I think that these are the right ones to sort of make and the right ones to look at. I think you just need to give him experience. You need to give him someone who has over 10, 15 fights in the UFC. Najah Sterling has done a massive amount. You just need to give him some experience. It's kind of hard when, he doesn't have really experience to work off of. He's beating the bums. We've also given Johnny Walker. I think, honestly, Navajo Sterling's going to fight Johnny Walker. I think that one is the one that makes the most genuine sense in this sort of circumstance. Johnny Walker's coming off a bit of a skid. I do believe that Najah Sterling's going to hit in this Oceania rise in talent where they're going to try push people like, from Australia, from New Zealand to try get that kind of media and hype done because that is a big market for them now. Next we go into Jazz Vicious. Now look, Jazz, I'm not really going to make too much. I just believe she probably gets the loser of Aaron Blanchfield versus Macy Barber, which is, I think, 3 weeks from now. So whoever loses that will probably just fight her to kind of determine who moves up the ranks to fight for the belt. Next we go to Mike Malott. Now I think Mike Malott's an interesting one because I believe they're either going to give him shitty bang bang, or else they're going to give him Sam Patterson, and I think Sam Patterson might be the better option. Brian Battle was also put down by me here, so Brian Battle, those three are probably the ones. I think Sam Patterson or Brian Battle are the most obvious ones to give him a true test, give him someone who can really push him. Sam Patterson, it's definitely the one kind of pushing up that division with a bit of hype. I think it would make sense if you put him against Mike Malott with their sort of boat. Like, stand-up sort of fighting and the wrestling wouldn't really be on either one's side. I still think Mike Malott is utter muck. Now, to be honest, I still think he's very overrated, and once you give him an actual genuine test, he'd lose. Next going to BSD, Bronze Anthony, God of War. I just think the Joel Alvarez rematch, I don't really think they're going to try book him in anything else. I don't really think there's anything else going. It will be kind of weird if they don't just give him the Joel Alvarez rematch. It's kind of a layup. It's a lob from Dana White. It's not rocket science. Next we go to Natia Silva, who, look, I'm just going to go pretty fast here. She's going to fight the champion. It's already kind of in motion. No one really wants to see the man for a rematch. I do think she was robbed. I don't think Valentina won that main event, but all in the same time. Natia Silva, her Valentina, and we move on to Valentina. It's the same thing. I'm not going to waste your time. It should be an interesting fight if Natia Silva decides to actually plant her feet and not just counter her strike and run around the whole octagon for 15 minutes, because that is extremely boring. I don't care how people say. That fight was not interesting. It's a great display of counter-attacking stuff, but it's not interesting. She just decided to sit there and throw back leg kicks and run around the whole octagon. It's not fun, right? And of course, we go up to JDM, we go up to the main man, best performance of the night, best performance of a title challenger ever, best 25 minutes of his life, very Cody Garbrandt-esque. I struggle, okay, because I know it's going to be Islam. I don't want Islam. I don't think you can deny the GOAT of the division below jumping up, but I don't want Islam. I just would rather see something fun to keep a division moving, not stall two fucking divisions. Just put him versus Ilya like you're originally going to do. Tell the Russian no, and let's have an interesting title fight. Even though I think JDM would be, there's just no point of trying to stall two divisions. Now, if that doesn't pan out, I would like to see either JDM take on Gary, Buckley, or Shavkat. They're the three that I would throw down. Shavkat's probably more close to the belt than most of these lads. He's 17-0 and 18-0 now, and I don't really think the UFC wants to say no. And then Buck versus Cook, I still think is going to come. I really, really want that fight because Joe Con Buckley would run through him and it'd be really, really funny in the press conference. But we'll move on to the losers. So we'll start with Brad Katona. Look, Brad Katona to me is a hard one. Garrett Armfield rematch or Matthew Wellmaker. I don't really think there's much point to trying to push Brad Katona at this point. Maybe just keep him around for Canadian cards because he is pretty washed at this point. He's pretty shy. I wouldn't really keep him, especially a knockout loss like that. His chin was solid and might break now. Next we'll go into Jung Hung Lee, who had a great fight, just kind of died out on stamina with the way that Daniel Santos was pressuring him and smothering him. I'd either give him Billy Q or Morgan Sherrier, the last pirate. I think that they're the only real two fighters that make any sense to Lee. I don't really think there's anyone else that could really help him. Bruno Silva, retirement, he went out in a stretcher. No real point to me saying anything here. Aslan, originally I was thinking cutting him, but I think the only real move you can probably do is give him someone like that Taco Tankos, Taco fella. I don't think there's anything else you can really give him, you know. Vladikauskis, I actually may have forgot to mention him inside the first one, and Kuti Laba, just a rematch between the two of them. I don't see anything else. There's no point. It was a robbery, it was a bad robbery, but there was no reason to really look at it. There was nothing to really talk about. There's nothing that's that interesting, to be honest. It's a robbery, let's get over it. No one really cares. Wasn't a good fight. Rematch them if you want. I don't think anyone's going to be losing sleep. No one's going to complain. You can do what you want. Emil Sahabi, now he got a robbery decision, very clear, no point. Canada, not rocket science, I've said this, they have some of the worst judges in the world. They just see a Canadian, hear the crowd, and they go, oh, Canadian, blah, 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 win for Canada, win for Canada, blah, blah, blah. They don't even really watch the fight. So Aman Sahabi, I think, made the right call out. I think he'll either get Cherty Vera or Rob Font. I don't think there's anyone else. I just think it's Cheeto Vera, Rob Font. I think they might give him the Cheeto Vera fight, so Cheeto Vera can batter his head in and get the revenge for a South American friend. To be fair, I think that's what they're going to do, because Cheeto Vera will run through him. Aman Zahabi's just a bit too old now, not very good either. We'll move into Jessica Andrade. Now originally I had retirement down here, but I do also think there might be a fight for kind of on the cards. I won't say that there is one going to be there, but I think there could be a fight for Charles Radke. For me is a weird one because I locked him. I genuinely thought he would have beaten Mike Malott, but then put in a pretty terrible performance. He was almost baited into standing on the feet and got finished. I give him someone like Gunnar Nelson or Carlson Harris. There's nothing really a big hype about this, but I would like to see him go against a jiu-jitsu specialist, considering he's pretty good at jiu-jitsu. He's a Brazilian black belt. Be interested to see him go against Gunnar Nelson. The only issue is he can finish Gunnar Nelson, because Gunnar Nelson still can't strike on his feet at all. So it's one of those ones, and Carlson Harris has been finished by Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio absolutely flatlined him. So if we're being realistic, it's not a very interesting one. I just think Charles Radke's in a bit of a weird corner. Next one to Karol Polak. He's just going to be released. I have nothing really else to say. Thank you for stepping in, Boan Saint-Denis, and saving us fighting the card, but good luck. Gone. See you later, kid. Thanks for coming. They're not going to keep him. Now, this one I think is going to cause some controversy, but I'm going to give Alexa Grasso quite a lower down fight. Someone a bit lower down the top 15, but I'm going to actually give her Casey O'Neill. I believe that Casey O'Neill is going to benefit from this whole Oceania, Australia, New Zealand sort of rise in popularity with two champions, and they're definitely going to try and push it a lot more down there. Casey O'Neill is... either she represents Scotland but trains in Australia. Look, she's in Australia. She's a Australia girl. I think she's going to come out, and I think she's going to get this Alexa Grasso fight. I think it'll be really interesting because it's Alexa Grasso's pressure boxing with Casey O'Neill's kind of decent enough kickboxing with her wrestling to see kind of how this would go. If this was to happen, I would pick Casey O'Neill to win over 15 minutes. I do believe that she picks up the win and keeps the rise of Australia going and getting her name up there. Next, going to Aldo, like he's retired. Retirement for a legend. Retirement of the King of Rio. The absolute legend that is the King of Rio. Big Jose. It's hard to say that he should have went out on 2 wins now on his end, but he's lost 2 robbery decisions, so what can you do? Look, Marin Ferrot, as I said, she's a weird one. The UFC have booked her in a strange spot. I don't really think anyone really wants to see the title rematch. I do believe it was a robbery, but it wasn't also that interesting, so I really don't think many people want to see that, and I don't really think there's any point to giving her Natia Silva. It just kind of stalls the division. So with Ferrot, maybe the winner of Erin Blanchfield and Macy Barber to see who comes back to beat her again, but she's beaten both women already, so it's a weird one. She's just kind of booked into a corner. And then Brad Muhammad, I'd actually like to give him Sean Brady. Now, I know a lot of people who might watch this might think Sean Brady's next up. He isn't. Like, let's be realistic. Brawl took 17 fights to get the title shot, beat a Washley on Edwards, then loses his belt instantly, will never touch it again. And I unfortunately think Sean Brady's in the exact same category. I don't think beating Leon Edwards in hindsight means anything now. It won't get him my title shot. He'll have to go and beat a lively and active contender in about another 3 fights. Maybe he'll get a title shot. But I've never seen Dana smile more. Dana has never smiled that much giving away a belt. So just a kind of fair warning, Sean Brady, it ain't going to happen, kid. Pack it up, chief. You ain't getting the belt. I hate to break it to you, but you ain't getting fuck all. But anyways, I think that's the way that everyone should go after this card. I've given out a few options, and I think at least a few of them should be picked. I know Dan is meant to be doing a big announcement when I'm recording this. But anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.